Zoom changed again today. So I'm like, where are the buttons? Oh my gosh, every time I update something, yeah. So we're gonna do a class today for happy hips, and hopefully it'll make sense. I have officially arrived at an age where I can't possibly stay up past my bedtime and function the next day. So I was at a show last night, a great rock and jazz show put on some friends of mine, and I got home at like midnight, which is not usually a time that I ever see. So I'm feeling a little bit draggy today. So apologies in advance. I certainly cannot manage the rock and roll lifestyle anymore. Just I'm past that. Anyway, it's great to see people, and we're going to do a class today for hips just because hips continue to be an issue for folks for so many reasons. So let's get started, making it uncomfortable right off the top by sitting in, if you can, a cross-legged position, and we'll just kind of use that for a few moments to ground into the practice. I also like to give a weather update always. Hey, Jeff. And it's warm here today, which means fog. So I tried to put on some extra lights, and gonna bring some brightness in whether or not I can see the sunshine. I keep reminding myself the sun is there. I just have to trust it's there, even if I can't see it. Um, yeah, all of that good stuff. So sitting up nice and tall, pulling up and back through the core, maybe just kind of pulling the ribs in a little bit, softening. That wonderful balance of softening into your position here, but also keeping it active. You can close your eyes, or you can just soften your gaze. And start by just kind of checking in, acknowledging what you bring to the mat this morning, how you're feeling. Maybe you're a little bit dozy like me. Maybe you're full of energy. And then get intentional about deepening your breath, slowing it down. And take a few moments to play around with the auditory nature of the breath. So kind of making some noise as you exhale. Good. Let's open the eyes. Let's sweep the arms up into the air and just kind of stretch, greeting the day. Maybe palms are up, leaning the head back. And then pulling the shoulders back and down. Now, in this posture, you're going to get a good sense of what's happening with your hips. So if this is feeling a little bit creaky and crappy, that's okay. We'll get to a more comfortable point by the end of the practice. So think about the discomfort you might be feeling now and notice if it shifts towards our final moments together later today. So let's move to a standing posture now that we've kind of grounded into the space. Let's lift up. Bring our feet up probably a little bit closer than hip width apart. So if we think about our hips being here as opposed to here, my feet aren't quite touching, but they're getting pretty darn close. When I'm in this posture, because my hamstrings are always a little bit tight, that's who I am, that pulls my knees a little bit. So if I'm just kind of not thinking about how I'm standing, my knees are always a little bit bent. So I need to intentionally straighten. Toes are spread, arches are lifted, tucking the hips under. Face this way. And now think about your rib cage. I want you to kind of intentionally kind of pull it in, locking everything in safely. So you've got all this active engagement with the body. And now we're going to lift up through the chest, shoulders come back, let them slide down, lengthen through the arms, hands come forward, neck is nice and long. I'm tucking all my chins up. And we're just going to hang here in mountain for a few breaths. And even if you are not feeling tall and strong, tell yourself, I am tall and strong. To be honest, that might be my coffee talking, but I'm going to go with it. Tall and strong. As I'm tall and strong, I'm realizing that I left a glass of water very close to Jeff's location. So before we're sharing a glass, I'll just move that. Good. Let's sweep the arms up into the air, connect your hands together, pulling up. And just do a little bit of a wiggle here, kind of pulling up one side, then the other. This is such a great stretch because you're kind of pulling up out of your hips. All along the torso is where we kind of compress overnight, right? We get shorter when we sleep. So our spine kind of compresses. So this is just a nice way. And I'm actively kind of pulling up through my wrists here. Just a little bit of back and forth. Good. And then maybe leaning back a little bit, open the chest, let the head hang back. Good. Head comes forward, roll your shoulders back. We're going to start to kind of ragdoll down towards the floor. Let yourself hang forward, still pulling back through the core. Let your head drop. Bend your knees even more. And then pull in tightly through the core as we start to do a little root to rise, kind of pulling up here. And then bring the energy back to the heart. Good. Let's do that again. Inhale up. Ooh, pardon me. And then let's swan dive forward, softening here, wiggling in. By the way, with the melt of the snow, it's officially my allergy season. And while you're here with the knees bent, maybe bend one knee a little bit further, and then the other. You're doing this, you're going to start to feel that pull through the back of the quads up into the glutes. That's good. When you feel those stretches, you're increasing the blood flow. Good. Bend the knees even more. And then a beautiful sweep up. And back to the heart. Nice, good. Let's bring our feet a little bit further apart. My toes are going to start to point out. We're going to come down here into a little bit of a squat. We're going to be grabbing the toes and then pushing up. This is going to feel intense. It's going to be a deep stretch. Do what you can. Let's sweep up. Bring your palms together and then start to come down, rolling the shoulders back. So we're going to start to lower down, lower down, lower down. I'm going to drop all the way down here. You might need your hands, grab the toes, and then we push the bum up. Sweep up. Sliding back down. Lower, 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 kind of coming into a squat here. Grab your toes. Push up. Sweep up. This is probably the hardest thing we're going to do today. Good news. And let's go a couple more. Lower, lower, lower. Grab your toes. Push the bum up. Sweep up. How about one more? Lower, lower, lower. Slowly sinking down. Although I totally dropped at the end. Push the butt up. Maybe tucking in a little bit further and then sweeping all the way up and relaxing the arms. Good. Bring your feet back to that first position, a little bit closer than hip width apart, shoulders back, lifting through the core, hips tuck under. Nice, tight through the ribs. Slide your hands down towards the tops of your knees as you come into a little bit of bend here, a little bit of a squat-ish. Hold here for a moment and breathe. I just moved my shoulders back because they were popping up to my ears. And I'm trying to add a little bit of a rounding through across the SI joint. So almost tucking the hips under here. We're going to inhale, slide up a bit. Exhale. Maybe bend your knees a little bit more. You don't have to. Let's inhale, come up a bit. And exhale. Inhale, come up a bit. And breathing out. Good. Keep the hands now here around your knees, shoulders back. I know this is hard. This is what your quads are probably now going, really? This is a lot. Hang tight if you can. Keep breathing. Keep the core tight. We want to bring heat to the body right now so we can get deeper into those stretches. Think about this as kind of our 7-minute warm-up. Not that we're going to hold this for 7 minutes. Let's do some standing cat-cow. So inhale, head and tail, lift up. Exhale, reverse, round the back, drop your hands a little way. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. On your inhale, head and tail are kind of lifting. Bring the shoulder blades together, stretch through the pectorals, and exhale. Couple more. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Rolling up, roll your shoulders. Give a little shake. So right now, you should feel like your body's been working. You should feel a little shortness of breath, maybe a lot, depending. And that's good. That's exactly where we want to be. We're going to add to this kind of feeling of working in the body by just weight bearing on one leg. Bring a leg up, extend it straight. Maybe toes are pointed, arms wherever you would like. And we're going to do some little circles. Really focusing here. So the hips, the pelvis are still. Switch directions. Your supporting leg is a little bit bent. Are you feeling the quad yet? I know I am. Welcome. And relaxing down. Let's switch to the other side, extend the leg. Little circles with this straight leg. Again, remember, pelvis straight and stable. Let's switch directions. I'm immediately finding my challenges this morning, and it's this. And releasing, roll the shoulders. Nice wide stance, toes facing out, sinking into one side. Hold here for a moment, tuck the hips, lifting up and back through the core, and breathe. Pushing and lifting up and then into the other side. Few breaths. Coming back up and pushing into the other side. Good. Moving up and back. Coming up. We'll come back into this side. Lifting up and pushing in to this side. Fabulous, fabulous. Come on up. Bring your feet together. Toe knuckles connect. Beautiful sweep all the way up. Lengthen here, maybe leaning back, looking up. And then a very formal swan dive forward. Bring the fingertips to the floor. Now your knees are probably still bent. Try and straighten them a little ways. Drop the head. Hold here and breathe. Bend your knees and then sweep up. And bring the hands to the heart. Great, good. Let's come to the front of the mat. And we're going to get right into, now that we've warmed up this area here, and this area. So now we're going to get into some of the stretching and of course, a little bit of the strengthening. This should all be really familiar. I didn't ask people to get padding for like their knees. So if you need a towel or something like that, have something like that handy. If not, just use your mat. If you need to double it over, no problem. And if any of this feels uncomfortable, just back out of it. Let's start here at the top of the mat. We're going to sweep up nice and tall. Forward fold. Fingertips or hands to the mat. Let's step back. I'm going to start with my right foot back. So I'm coming way back. And in this lunge, I'm just starting to see what's happening. gonna lower my back knee. So this was kind of the padding I was mentioning. If you need the padding, go for it. I have a lot of padding on the top of my knees naturally. That is something I've been blessed with. So I should be okay. I'm gonna uncurl my back toes. And then I'm gonna start to just walk my way back here, lifting up. And I want to invite you to join me in this posture. So usually we're moving in and out of this quickly. I want to stay here a little bit longer. And I want you to think about going kind of within yourselves at this time. Focus on the physical sensations that this posture brings. And remember to deepen and slow the breath, because if the breath is slow and deep, the brain says, oh, relax. And then a lot of the tension can be stretched and released out. So deepen that breath. I'm going to bring my shoulders down. And a few little adjustments here. So I'm going to lengthen through the core. I'm kind of lifting up. I'm going to start to feel that stretch. Tucking the hips under. Now we're going to add some motion. So slowly move forward in this lunge. And then back. Let's do that on a breath. Inhale. Exhale. Notice how it's feeling. Inhale. And exhale. Let's go again here. Inhale. And exhale. Once more, please join me. Come forward. If you feel like joining me and lifting the arm up, so the leg that I'm weight bearing on, that knee on the floor, that side, the arm is coming up into the air. Reaching here, tuck this hip under and start to cross the midline. So many deep breaths here. Maybe a little bit further into this. And then bring the hand down to the mat. Other hand comes to the mat, and we're going to slide that other leg back. Gently lower into a child's pose. Maybe knees move apart. Sink in here and breathe. Good. Moving forward on to the forearms. And just gently lower yourself to the mat. Legs are stretched out. We're going to go into some cobras. Again, I've been kind of beating the drum over this one for a number of weeks now, but I highly, highly encourage you, if you want to do one thing a day that is so good for how you will feel and function, 3 rounds of 10 cobra, and do it 10 at a time. Just literally stop what you're doing, drop to the floor, do 10. You will see a dramatic change in tightness and discomfort in your low back and hips after a very short period of time. So bring your hands out from the armpits, elbows are up. And we're going to cobra here. Let's go for 5. So I'm going to inhale, peeling up, pushing up for 1, slowly lowering. So again, if this is too intense, do a baby cobra and down. You can always work your way up. Lift for 3. For 4. And we'll do for 5. Good. Push back onto the knees. Playful puppy. So arms are extended. Your face smushes into the floor, but in the air. I'm going to flip my toes under here, walk the hands back, and come into standing however you like. Maybe you kind of bring yourself back. I'm going to hit the wall. So I'm going to rock back onto my feet and pushing up, but however you like. And we're going to move back to the top of the mat. If that was too intense for you on the knee, then grab something soft, cushions, towels, whatever you need. Well, I make sure my pants are up. And let's go again here. So let's sweep up, exhale down. This time our left foot comes way back. I had that moment where the whole rug started shifting with me. I'm like, oh my gosh. All righty, so hanging out here for a few moments. Keep your neck lengthened in this posture. You don't want to kind of be crunching in on yourself. And we'll slowly lower down through that back knee, uncurl the toes. Hang out here. So this is where we're going to start to kind of go within ourselves, see how everything is feeling. Notice exactly where that tension is and see if any of this can help to shift it. All right. As I'm deepening my breath, I'm going to start to walk up. This is much harder for me on this side. I feel like there's a lot more restrictions here. So I say that, so I hear it myself, but also when I notice those things, that's a good opportunity for me to just kind of check in, make sure that the breath is adding all the support it can. Good. So I'm lengthening up through the core, pulling in. I'm tucking my tail under. I'm going to ease in here. So start to move forward, inhale. Ooh, and exhale. Inhale, sinking in. Exhale back. Inhale. And back. And we'll come forward. I'm going to extend an arm up and start to reach across the midline. Keep the tail tucked under. Notice how this feels. And then releasing. I'm going to slide that leg. Sometimes transitions are really graceful. This is like, oh my God, get that leg back there. And then move into a child's pose. This is actually going to take some pressure off the knees and just sink down. Good. Ease yourself up. And then move on to the tummy. Sometimes I like to just hang in Sphinx for a moment, just really enjoying that back stretch. And then coming down, we're going to get ready for 5 cobras. Let's breathe in, lifting up. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale. And down. Inhale. And down. Inhale. And down. Beautiful. So from here, just push up and back. Drop to the forearms. Playful puppy. And then walk your way or crawl your way out of the pose. Just removing a ladybug from my glass, luckily on the outside of the glass. Drinking water when we're working on a hip program is super important. We hold a lot in our hips as we stretch and release and get that tension out. There is a belief that that's where toxins are held, whatever that means. But if that is the case, all of the extra hydration will help you to poo, pee, sweat, or cry all of that out of your system. Perfect. So the moment you've all been waiting for, cow face pose. I can hear some of you swearing, trust me. So cow face pose is, it's an amazing release. It's an amazing stretch. You really feel the hips let go. It's also great for the glutes. And it is a fairly effective way to remove tension quickly. Doesn't mean it feels good when you're in the pose, but it really does work. So if this is just not your thing, you absolutely hate it, maybe come onto your back, knees to tummy, maybe a little side to side. Just make good use of your time. Or heck, go grab a coffee. But if you're gonna kind of join me for this exploration, let's do it together. So I'm starting with my legs forward on the mat, and we'll move through this fairly rapidly. Now, if I'm doing my own practice, I'm just going to start pulling my legs into position, but we'll take this bit by bit. So I'm going to step one leg over. Then we're actually coming into a nice formal seated posture here. I'm lifting up and kind of pulling the shoulders back and down as I'm pulling the leg into the body. It's a little bit of a signal that more goodness is to come. And you can kind of wiggle around if you want to see what's happening. Cool. So you can stay here. Or the extended leg, start to tuck it back. Maybe this is a great posture for you. If it is, pull in tighter, get that stretch here. It's really usually the upper leg in the posture where you're going to feel the most stretch. Inevitably, there will be one person in the practice saying, but I feel it in the other hip. That's great. I don't know why, but it's great that that's where you feel it. Most people, top hip. If you want to go further, grab that foot and ankle, pull it towards your hip. And then I do my little lift and wiggle in. Deepen your breath. This is like jumping into a bucket of cold water. Your brain is suddenly overloaded with like, what the actual heck is happening? We have body parts touching in ways that doesn't normally happen. There's a lot of tension. And this can cause those kind of electrified feelings of, sometimes we interpret it as pain, but more so it's just physical confusion, which is sometimes my best state of being. Physical, mental, emotional confusion. Now, if you were like me and feeling giggly, this is again, when you feel that way, often your brain goes, okay, here's some endorphins. So enjoy that if it's happening. Think about what you need now in this moment. Maybe it is a coffee, but maybe it's just leaning in. And I will say, probably hard to tell because my pants are dark and there's not a lot of light, but often when I'm feeling great about this, my knees totally line up, kind of one on top of the other. Today, not so much, and that's just fine. I have some tightness in one hip. So I'm not pushing myself. I'm just saying, okay, this is where I am today. That's great. Again, that little kind of exploration coming forward might be perfect for you. Maybe you want to add a twist to this. We're not going to do the upstairs of the pose. We're focusing on the downstairs. For the last part of this hold, soften through your feet. Sometimes they are holding the tension. Let it go. Take some deep breaths and let's actually throw out all of that unsettled energy. So kind of reach up, inhale, and then exhale, push it away. Inhale, exhale. Once more, inhale. Good. Hands behind, untangle. And a little bounce, 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 bounce. Good. Excellent work. Let's go to the other side. All right. Stepping leg over, whichever leg you did not start with the last time. Pulling in, just kind of seeing what's happening here. The extended leg. And sweep back, pull back. And again, you can just hang out here if you like. There's so much goodness that is happening here. Now, the leg that was on top the last time, that hip had a good stretch, right? So maybe you feel a little bit more sensation there. Just be mindful, be gentle with yourselves. I realize the juxtaposition of saying, be gentle with yourselves. And then the next instruction is crank that leg back. So see how that works. Again, I like to do a little bit of negotiating to get into the posture. Experience the tension, experience the confusion, embrace it, breathe it in. Do a quick scan and notice what's happening. Notice how you're feeling. If the tension is just right where you are, that's cool. If you want to lean into this, soften your feet, soften your shoulders, soften your face, soften the resistance to letting it go. Coming back up. Again, notice everything kind of blah in the body. Let's take a deep breath in. Push it away. Inhale. Inhale. Soften, hands behind the back and releasing, bouncing. Ah, amazing. Good stuff. So we've given our knees a little bit of a break. I want to bring you back into another stretch that is so helpful. We'll keep it accessible. We're not going to add a leg lift. I had planned on doing that, but I'm not going to do that to y'all. But we are going to come into the gait now because it is really a great way to kind of keep everything functioning. So think about it. We've been pulling this way. Now we're going to kind of pull out a bit. So please join me and come on up to your knees. I feel like we're due for a chair class because the gait pose, I think that my kind of preferred way of doing this posture is using a chair. So keep watching the postings. Maybe I'll do that in a couple of weeks. If folks would like a chair class, shoot me a message. I don't want to assume that you're like, yeah, chair, because you might all be at home going, Anyway, let me know your thoughts on doing a chair class. We haven't done one for a while. All right. I'm on my knees, clearly. I'm going to bring the leg out to the side. Inside of the foot or roll over onto a flat foot, your call. Feeling it in the inner thigh, likely, that's good. So again, we've been stretching this part, yin and yang, now it's this part. Lifting up through your core. The gate pose is one to let kind of percolate. So relax your shoulders, just hang out. It's that moment where everybody's awkwardly staring at their cameras going, okay, weird. Relax your arm. Sweep the other arm up, roll it in, extend it up. So here I'm lifting, lengthening. Now the pose becomes active. I'm really feeling it here. It feels great. Think about a deep breath before and during and after this stretch. Continue reaching up and then start to cross the midline. We're not really softening. This is a very active posture, trying to keep the chest open. Watching your balance. Let's hold for 4 breaths here. Release the arm down. Roll the shoulders back, and then we pull the leg back. Sink down. Roll your shoulders back. You could do a toe stretch here, but who am I kidding? I've pushed you hard enough. I'm just sinking into my heels like a good hero does. Which is not me being vain. That's what this posture is called. It's called the hero. Lots of deep breath. And then we lift back up. Other leg comes out. I'm always delighted. Maybe that's not the right word, but I enjoy very much when I first kind of set up a posture, actually taking that time when I'm doing my own practice, which I do try and do a few times a week, although it is the struggle is real. But I love those moments of kind of setting something up and going, huh, not as I expected. And again, in that true practice of mindfulness, not judging, just being like, okay, this is what we're working with. And once you figure that out and you're not like, crap, then you can just do whatever. Nice. Let's formalize the posture a little bit. Lifting up. I'm actually starting to engage in the inner thigh. Hey, buddy. And then reaching the arm up. Reach, 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 reach. Again, I love this stretch. I'm getting through that hip. You could stay here if you want to ease on over. That's great too. Keep it active, keep the chest open, lots of deep breath. Keep breathing. And then softening. And gently sinking down. Roll your shoulders back. Good. Oh my goodness. What a good stretch from Jeff. Oh. He doesn't have a lot of tricks. Stretching is highly rewarded because it looks fun. Okay, let's move out of the way. Let's come on down to the back. All right. If you have a block, grab it. And we can do a little bit of a sacral release. If you do not have a block, you could roll up a towel nice and tight. And if that is not working for you, you could just come into a really comfortable pose. And I'll show you what that looks like first. And then if you're going to do the sacral release, hold for me. So if you're just going to hang out here, you're going to bring the legs further apart. So probably feet or outer edges of the mat. Place something between the thighs. Just rest the legs against that. Arms are completely relaxed. Deep belly breathing. That's called constructive rest posture. For everybody else, we're going to be placing this block against the SI joint. So think about it, kind of that triangle at the base of the back, kind of across the pelvis. So to do that, tight core, I'm going to lift up, I'm going to slide the block under. Keep your knees bent, keep the legs hip width apart, toes are spread, arches lifted. Arms wherever they are comfortable. Deep belly breaths. If you want to go a little bit deeper into this and you're up on a block or a support under the SI joint, you can very slowly start to bring one knee back. You're not going to pull it into the tummy, just move it back, kind of letting it balance itself. And then keeping the breath deep, you can extend the other leg. So you are balancing kind of the weight on the heel, toes point up. Lots of deep breaths. Slowly move the leg that is up, returning that foot to the floor. And again, breathe deeply. The extended leg is going to move back now. And then bring that leg up. Extend your other leg out, balancing on the heel. Toes are pointing up, meaning not to the sides. And then the foot slowly comes back to the floor. And let's pull that other foot back. Really deepen the breath here. To release, I feel often I need to move my heels further back towards the block, tightening through the core, lifting up, sliding that block out, and then the slowest release down to the floor that you can manage. From here, I'm going to invite you to bring your left knee into the tummy, stretch out the right leg. Breathe a lot. Use the hand to guide that leg and that knee across the midline of the body. And see if you can find your tight spots here. Maybe you hold the leg down, maybe it's up. Deep breath is your friend. Slowly come back to center. Pull that knee back as far as you can. And then we'll switch legs. To make sure the breath is deep before you go any further, we're pulling that leg back nice and tight. And then using the opposite hand, guide the leg across the midline, find the tight spots. Back to center. Pull both knees in. And a little egg beater action here. Massaging the low back. Extend your legs up into the air. Extend your arms up into the air. Lift the arms up so the shoulders leave the floor and then let them clunk down. Soften through the arms, soften through the legs. Breathe deeply here in dead bug. Really feel the spine kind of sinking into the floor. Make the breath as deep as you possibly can. And then when you're ready, let everything soften down to the floor. I invite you to enter into your Shavasana. You can either go into constructive rest, you could just stretch out on your back, whatever works for you. Just soften into that posture. Keep your breath deep as your body rests. Let your mind drift. Take a few more really deep breaths. Maybe move your head from side to side, shoulder to shoulder. Stretch the arms up over top of your head. Taller and stronger. And then pull the knees into your tummy. Give yourself a hug. When you're ready, move up to a seated posture and start that kind of comparison in your mind between how you feel now and how you felt when we started this morning. You don't need the answer to be better, but if you've noticed that something has shifted, that's great. And if nothing shifted, that's cool, because you could do it all again if you really wanted to. So sitting up nice and tall, shoulders drop away from the ears, heart is lifted. Enjoy kind of the afterglow of all of those endorphins. So as you move forward in your day, commit to lots of hydration, lots of water. That'll help after a hip class. Gentle movement is great. And if you're feeling a little bit more kind of released, good. Don't let crap come back in and tie y'all up in knots. Notice what's happening. Be cool with it. And move on through. continuing to be your amazing selves. Let's bring the hands together in front of the heart. This is where I like to extend my sincere gratitude. It's such a pleasure that people joined me today. I was a little slow and draggy this morning. I certainly look that way. And it's so nice to have this wonderful community energize me and give me a reason to drag my sorry self out of bed. So thank you sincerely for that. I hope people will send suggestions for classes. Again, if you want to chair a class, let me know. We could schedule that. And I wish everybody peace and joy and possibility in the days to come. We all need a bit of a break right now. So I hope everyone receives those gifts. Namaste.
And the audio. Thank you, Barb.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank
Great as
you.
always.